Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Nathan Hadlock, who's here to share with us Portugal's golden visa program, Pela Terra. Could investing in farmland in Portugal open the door to European citizenship and a whole new way of life for you and your family? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Nathan Hadlock grew up with agriculture in his blood as part of an Ohio farming family. After spending time in Silicon Valley as an engineer specializing in soil technology, he moved to Portugal in 2019 to pursue his passion of scaling sustainable farming practices in the area. He is now the managing director of Pela Terra, Portugal's largest regenerative agricultural investment fund. So let's welcome to the show, Nathan Hadlock.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this. So what is this program? Let's just dive into that because I was so fascinated when I heard about this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until I moved to Portugal five years ago from the US. And it's ultimately a way to get a Portuguese passport in as quick as 5 years. And I come from Ohio originally, and I had no idea of what a passport from Portugal could do. And the most interesting part is it gives you access to live, work, even send your kids to school to 25 different European countries. And so, yes, it's part of Portugal, but the bigger picture is it gives you access essentially to all of Europe, which is pretty powerful.
Oh my goodness, that is very powerful. And before we go too far down the road, what made you decide to move? Because you were in Silicon Valley at one point.
Yeah, I had been living in San Francisco for 6 years, and my girlfriend and I we wanted to slow life down, start a family, and so we made a list of places in the world that would be interesting to move to, and Portugal made it to the top of the list. It has weather really similar to Lisbon specifically has weather really similar to LA. It's right on the water, and it's beautiful, but it's life is slower, and we were craving that, and it's a really nice place to have small kids. It's an airport that's accessible to all of Europe, and it's been really great living here.
It sounds like just the dream location. I do hear of quite a few people like Portugal's the new best place to live. And it seems that with the education piece, especially for, as children get older, that's a big deal.
It is. And something that so now we fast forward 5 years, we have 2 kids here. Because they were born here, they automatically have the Portuguese passport. And it's only been recently that I've started to realize what this stands for. It's almost a legacy that's being created, because not only will my kids have this Portuguese passport, but their kids, if they decide to, also have this passport. And there's not many things in life where you can make such an impact on your family like this. And so it's kind of cool. Coming from Ohio, I never thought I would have a Portuguese baby. And so it's still kind of blowing my mind, but pretty cool.
Well, that is very interesting. So what is a golden visa? What does that all entail?
Yeah. So there's not many programs left in the world. Portugal is one of the few that are open right now. And it's a program that allows you to apply for a passport in 5 years when you make an investment into the country. Portugal, that investment is 500,000 euros, and there's many different options. I represent a fund here called Pela Terra, in which that investment goes towards sustainable agriculture in the interior of the country. And this kind of investment has really resonated with Americans for a number of reasons. One, most folks, hands down, they want something low risk. They want to get to the end of this process and know that their capital is safe. And nothing achieves that better than an asset class like farmland. It's incredibly stable, it's predictable, but more importantly, what's really interesting with what we're doing is we're taking this capital coming into the country and we're investing it into the interior where there's not much going on. And so it's really helpful in revitalizing small communities. It's creating jobs. And on the sustainability side, we're transitioning these large conventional farms. In our case, it's mainly olive groves, into a more sustainable, moving towards regenerative approach. And that's achieved with closer attention to the soil, minimizing inputs, watering very precisely. And it's kind of a win-win. It's a win for the investor. They're generating returns. They're ultimately earning a passport, but it's also helping the Portuguese people. And so it's fun to be a part of this.
And I understand you have some background regarding agriculture, and I'd love for you to share that with us.
Yeah, so I was born into an agricultural family in Ohio. The family's been into ag over the last 100 years. But like any young person, you want nothing to do with what your parents do. And so I went the engineering route, spent most of my adult life on the West Coast. But around 10 or so years ago, had a renewed interest, took over the finances on the farm, and saw firsthand how my folks weren't making much money from the land. The soil was being depleted every year. And so this became a problem that I wanted to spend the next decades of my life working on. And so this is the seed that ultimately created the Pela Terra Fund.
Well, I find it so fascinating that here you are, engineer specializing in soil technology, and you're doing this
Yeah.
same amazing work in Portugal to try to help the area as well.
Yeah, I feel like agriculture is one of the more interesting overlooked spaces. The amount of impact we can make through technology or just simple changes. In our case, we use cover crop. We limit the tilling of the soil, and because of the just sheer space in which agriculture takes up, you can really make it impact at scale. And the soil is really a key part of that. Often we forget about all the biology beneath our feet and the impact that has on plants and ultimately how nutritious the food is that we grow. And so these are all things that we pay close attention to.
Why are so many Americans investing in golden visas at this time?
It's a number of reasons. We talk to people in New York, North Carolina, California, up in Oregon, and everyone's has a unique story. But it largely can be summarized as a plan B, creating options, not just options for the next couple of years, but options for when they retire, or options for their children, and that's ultimately what it's all about. If you want to move to Portugal, you can do that. There's many immigration schemes. They have a D7 visa as an example of that, but you have to live in Portugal for 5 or 6 years in order to qualify for a passport. The magic of the Golden Visa program is you can continue living and working where you are now, but you can get the clock started so that when you're ready to retire, or if something changes in your life in the future, you have that option of moving to Portugal, or once you have the passport, anywhere in Europe. And so it's it's a pretty valuable thing long term, and that's why more and more Americans are pursuing that.
So you don't have to live in Portugal to have the golden visa. Is that something you can travel to and come back?
Yeah, that's one of the key selling points of this program is the flexibility. In the 5-year period, as you're waiting to apply for the passport, you're only required to visit the country for 7 days, and it's not a bad place to visit. So it's pretty easy to check that box. And then after 5 years, the process of applying for a passport is very straightforward and can be done quickly.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Nathan Hadlock in regards to Portugal's Golden Visa program with Pela Terra. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an author, speaker, or expert who is looking for more publicity? Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up for free interview requests from shows looking for guests. Radio Guest List is the #1 free booking resource for radio, podcasts, and TV talk shows who are looking for experts like you right now. Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up today to get the visibility you deserve.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special. When you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
It's one thing to become attached to your perfect home, but what do you do when that home becomes attached to you? A family in dire need of a fresh start, a mysterious house tied to the past. Buried deep within the foundation of the old Far Hill Manor lies a centuries-old secret. Dark forces or something stronger just waiting to be discovered. Caretaker, a supernatural thriller by breakout authors R.J. Halpert.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Nathan Hadlock, who's sharing with us Portugal's Golden Visa program with Pela Terra. Now, is there a certain area or region that this funds as far as agriculture?
Yeah, so we focus on an area of Portugal called Alentejo. And we focus in this region for a few different reasons. One, the climate is conducive for higher value commodities. For us, we focus on orchards, olives, and various nuts. But more importantly, especially in the agriculture space, water is key. I used to live in California, and I know how important water is there. We invest in land here fed by the largest man-made lake in Europe, Lake Alcava, to give very strong water rights and resiliency to what we grow. And it's a good region to invest in.
So I know we've kind of touched on this, but can you dive more into what Pela Terra does?
Yeah, it's intentionally very straightforward. We invest in farmland that has access to water rights. And it's two main investments. We either establish a new orchard or we invest in an existing mature orchard. And by growing olives, by growing nuts, this allows us to generate an annual return that we can pay to investors. And then through the appreciation of the land, it allows us to also pay a large dividend upon the sale of the assets at the end. And it's not fancy, not super complicated, intentionally simple. The fund does not take any leverage, and so we really try to pull out risk wherever we can.
Thank you. I love how it's so straightforward and easy, so people realize it is an investment that they're being part. But it's way more than that.
Yeah. It's when you think about it, it's 500,000 euros is a lot of money. There's no question about that. But as an investment, where you're getting returns, where you know that investment is having a positive impact on the country that you'll call your new home eventually, potentially, and that it results in this legacy, this passport where you can access all of Europe. But when you start to put all these things together, it's pretty compelling, and it's fun being on calls with investors, and you start to talk about these different components, and then their eyes light up, and they finally they realize, wow, this is really powerful. Not just for what I'm thinking about right now, but for all of the scenarios that could happen in the future, and the opportunity that you can create for your children. And so it's what the 500,000 investment. It's not per person. It counts for you. It counts for your spouse. It counts for any dependent. And so that's children, and sometimes people will include their parents also on this application.
It's so remarkable to have. I mean, you can work in one country, send your kids to college in another. I mean, there's so much diversity. Really, the world opens up for you.
Completely, and just I'm spent most of my life in America, and so I have that experience, and to see my kids running around the streets of Lisbon, or exploring farmland in the interior, and they're speaking Portuguese better than I am. It's really a delight as a parent, and something that I never really imagined that my kids would have this, and so it's pretty cool.
And what a great opportunity. And I know one of the things you really focus on is regenerative agriculture. And I'd love for you to share with us what that is and what that means.
Yeah. So regenerative agriculture on a very high level means it's not just good enough to not do damage. What we need to focus on is actually regenerate landscapes. And there's many different ways in which landscape can be regenerated. One example is biodiversity, the different numbers of plants, animals, insects. Another is around the water, how well water is being stored and recycled throughout the ecosystem. Another is the soil. This is an area that we're especially passionate about. There's my background is engineering, and so I am always quantifying different aspects of the environment, probably because of that background. But we pay close attention to what's called soil organic carbon, and this is kind of an indicator of the life in the soil. As you have more carbon there, you have more biological activity. The plants growing there are more resilient. The amount of water absorbed is higher. But the most interesting part, and something that we have forgotten in agriculture, is what we grow from healthy soil that has lots of carbon in it, is often way more nutritious than anything else. And that's living in Europe, you see a difference in the food. And that, I think, is a big component of it. And I would really like to see agriculture shift to pay more attention to nutritional density, and even at stores, for consumers to better understand that what they're buying is healthier versus that tomato looks pretty, this one looks ugly. I don't know which one to buy. So that's what we're passionate about, and that's really what gets us out of bed in the morning.
So how can people find out if they qualify for a golden visa?
Yeah. So a few different things. It's this as you say in the Midwest, this ain't our first rodeo. This is our second fund. The first fund raised over $35 million across 120 investors, mainly from the U.S. This capital has been deployed, and what we're talking about today is the follow-on fund to that. The EU knows that this is a pretty enticing program, and every year they're putting more and more pressure on Portugal. And so we don't know for sure, but it's not something that will last forever, as you said. So the best step, first, you can look up Golden Visa on the internet and begin doing research, which is an important part of it. If you would like to use us as a resource to help jumpstart the process, you can reach out to us through our website, pelaterra.com. It's kind of hard for English speaking, but PelaTerra.com. And we have a whole team dedicated to help you through the various steps. And I always enjoy getting on calls with the potential investors and learning their story and seeing how we can help them.
I think it's such a great opportunity for people to just add more to that family legacy. My goodness. Well, yeah. Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
My pleasure. It was really great talking with you today.
Well, thank you, Nathan. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about Portugal's Golden Visa program through Pela Terra. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.